carrier bags and the flat bags. There has been a modification because of certain packaging, which are allowed upon licensing. But really the direction we should be looking at is, because plastic is a petroleum product, and they contribute to a very high release or emission of greenhouse gas emissions in this country. And we need to get into a serious discussion. I know it has been very controversial and a lot of resistance from here and there, but we need to get into a serious discussion where between the national government, the county governments, the private sector, non-state actors, to know that whatever directions that we need to take, they may be hard and painful, but that is what we must do in order to save ourselves from the choking of the waste that we are seeing. So I think circular economy is the way to go. And when we start with the basics of how we handle our waste, right from the domestic level to the waste service provider, to the county governments in terms of how to deal with our landfills, which are an eyesore everywhere. The Dandora landfill that we have here. We have countless young people, and for lack of a better term, I would call them the landfill community. Young people who are always scavenging and ravaging through the likes of Dandora dump sites. We can convert that into an economic, an income-generating activity for them in collaboration with recyclers and different players to have our country move from linear to circular economy. On the question of carbon credits, my take is that we have a huge opportunity lying under the carbon trading practice. We might not have explored it to our greatest potential. The first place to start is to start with a policy on carbon trading, and being that we are having a discussion here with the parliamentary committee, I think it's a direction that we need to take, because as we talk about climate action, we must explore alternative sources of funding. Because when we talk about, they call it the just transition, for example, going 100% green, it calls for resources, it calls for technology, and carbon trading is one source of, potential source of funding that we need to explore. I know certain entities like KenGen are already successfully trading in carbon, and certain non-governmental organizations. We have a lot to learn and to actualize this, because it is possible for us to do this. Honorable Lesuda, Kirisia forest actually is a very good example of communities taking part in, contributing to restoration of our natural resources. The participatory forest management is a very potent and important consideration, particularly with regard to community forests, which are under the county governments. Either through the PELIS process, where with close monitoring, awareness creation, and good collaboration between the Kenya Forest Service and the communities organized through community forest associations, this is possible, where then we will be having a symbiotic relationship between the government in terms of communities participating in enhancing our tree and forest cover, while at the same time getting tangible benefits from forest resources. The question of corruption, it is real, and the President has made a clear declaration of a very ambitious tree planting exercise, which I think is the way to go, and an increase of funding to the Ministry of Environment. I will be keen, as the Cabinet Secretary once confirmed, charged with this very critical docket to make sure that there is strict adherence to the the procedures that are there to make sure that we have proper accountability and proper use of resources. And we will be moving from tree planting to tree growing. So we have to come up with a sustainable model where we are not planting trees and moving away, but growing, including how the trees will be nurtured to maturity. And I want to promise Kenyans that under my watch and guard, there will be tangible and visible results in this area. Again, we have KEFRI. KEFRI is involved with a lot of research into making sure that even as we embark on tree planting and tree growing, we will be doing species matching so that we don't do haphazard kind of tree growing across the country, making sure that different ecological zones are matched with tree species that can actually thrive in the particular areas. Honorable Gikaria, yes, climate change is real. I have said that. And this is a matter that we'll need to look into. Your question is closely linked with that of Honorable Bayer, to make sure that as we run to embrace climate action, we must match it with the need to take care of the livelihood needs of our communities and our people, and particularly with the question of rising lakes and drought and all these other adverse effects. So yes, it is something that I will take up to look into it, to make sure that we have a comprehensive plan, so that we don't focus so much on achieving a reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions while Kenyans are suffering in the process of the approaches we are using. Nairobi is a global city, being, I think, in the whole of the global south. It is only in Nairobi where we are hosting a UN agency, and it's none other than the UNEP, which is a very key agency in the issues that we are discussing, or those that are under my docket. The UN Habitat, again, is domiciled right here. The United Nations office in Nairobi. This presents a huge opportunity when we are speaking about the need to meet our obligations under the Paris Agreement. I will be, once confirmed, taking proactive steps towards establishing a working modality with these very strategic UN agencies within our reach in order to realize our vision and ambitions around climate action and environmental protection. Honorable Mule, yes, COP26, and we are in the run-up to the COP27, which will be held in Egypt in the next few weeks, a week or so. And you have raised the question about, how we will make sure that the land use plans that are being, actualized, or, the practice around large-scale land buyers. This is an issue which will require an interministerial approach. The Ministry of Lands has a big chunk of a responsibility to play with regards to land use planning. And I know within the cabinet we have thematic committees, and this is an issue of grave concern that I will be taking up with my colleague in the lands docket, to make sure that we are having sustainable land use plans before any project is actualized. And again, NEMA is under my docket, the docket that I'm interviewing for. And land use planning, the need for very serious environmental impact assessments to be done before any such projects are set up, is an issue that I will be taking up once confirmed for this position. Honorable Emase, the need for close collaboration between the county and national government, that cannot be overemphasized. the fourth schedule of our Constitution in dividing the functions on environment between national and county government.